Dear friends, this first day I would like to dedicate it to Syd Mead, who is an incredible, talented designer, visionary, futurist that passed away, died at the age of 86 in his house in Pasadena. Now, why do I want to talk about Syd Mead? For those that don't know him yet, let me tell you that if you're looking for someone that could become a sort of a mentor, sort of the person that can show you the way or that inspire you very strongly about what and how you should do to become a car designer or a designer, industrial designer, you should learn a lot about this man. Because Syd Mead is someone that still today we have a hard time to find someone similar. There are some designers that are close to how Syd Mead developed his career and the things, incredible things he did, but they are just close. They are not exactly like he did or even better. So we are talking about a real special person. Whole design community is, of course, it's getting a big loss because of his death. Who was Syd Mead? When he was 3 years old, he started sketching. He understood that he liked to sketch. So he started taking pencil and he started making his first sketches. And people and family members that, of course, know him much better than I do or other people do, recall that since then he never stopped. So this is somebody that already at the age of 3 years old, already at this young age, understood, he was conscious that what he wanted to do was to be 100% using his artistic part of the brain and be dedicated to it. And good enough, his parents left him all the time available to sketch and to improve. And as he said in one of the latest interviews made by Tim Lawrence on his vlog, basically since then he never stopped. And he was so curious, then very quickly he started learning by himself how to sketch people, how to get the right proportions, how to do some architecture, products, cars, about anything. It's only in 1956 or 55 that he goes to Art Center College of Design, that at that time in Los Angeles was called the Art Center of Los Angeles, which was between Los Angeles and Pasadena at that time. And he will get his graduation, he will graduate in August 59. And he was hired directly by Ford company, so he went to Detroit. And what he says about his time in school is that even if he already had a lot of skills, the school was excellent to teach him some extra stuff he didn't know. For example, to understand more about the media, about the colors, the use of color, and how to master better the perspective. And most of all, the famous gouache technique that he used, he loved, and he still used until probably the last days of his life. In fact, Syd Mead is very well known, not just because as a designer, he's a complete designer with an incredible vision, much better than all of us, but also because his illustration technique became a Syd Mead illustration technique, very particular, and also schools and mainly Art Center also learned a lot from him, trying to give it back to other students. For example, when I was in school, we were learning over Syd Mead illustrations to understand how he managed the color tones, what type of colors he was using, how he would get such dramatic effect, okay? So, this is just to give you a very quick image of the start of Syd Mead's career. He was too advanced for Ford, and then he decided to open his own office, design office. In the 70s, late 70s, he started really to work for a lot of people, as an independent freelancer, making a lot of incredible stuff. For example, he was working a lot for Philips at that time. And then he worked also for Sony in Japan. So he was starting to work abroad and not just within the United States. And he moved also into the science fiction, which in the early 80s started to become very popular, very important, also thanks to technologies. And if you talk about with people that work in the movie industry with him, a lot of people will tell you that Syd Mead was somebody that basically was always in his world, which is considered a happy world. And in his world, he was really in another century, you know. We were living at that time in the 80s, in the 90s. That's the time I was in school in Pasadena. And he was already way ahead in 2020, like today. And he was already thinking, imagining how the world would be. And when you see his illustrations, as some movie directors said also, his illustrations, you can understand that is a very big part of realism that makes those illustrations and those scenarios very believable. And this is also the very nice element, particular element of Syd Mead art, is that he was never, it's too comfortable to say, I do an object, it is flying and that's it, you know. But when you see the objects flying in his movies or in his artwork, you believe it. Because the way the design is treated, the way he thought the concept, the way he treated the detailing, also the way his method and his methodology was used by himself in order to start from a sketch and arrive to the final work was so particular and was so believable, showing also all the experience, years of experience. He really knew how things are made and built, you know, how technology are used, what is possible to make today and what is not possible to make today. So if you see all this, you understand that we are in front of a person that is really incredible. I had a very short time, the opportunity to see him, okay, personally. Not to meet him, but to see him when I was in school. He came for a speech with a beautiful slideshow and explained to us a little bit his career. And I remember very well that day because from the beginning until the end, you understand that the man is talking to you, is showing to you quite interesting products, cars, images, sketches from movie, science fiction movies, scenarios and stuff, and he's talking over, explaining how he did it, why he did it, the problem he encountered, how he solved the problem. And one thing it's that he very often was using was the word problem solving, because problem solving is design, and he was saying that his curiosity and he's willing to take the challenge and to make it, to find for the best and the better way and the best way to solve a particular problem for a client or for a project he was doing, was what he gave him a lot of satisfaction. And from that you understand and you can feel the whole passion that is coming out, which is the passion that was motivating him since he was a child. It's an incredible story. It's an incredible man. And the big difference that makes him somebody really extremely particular and unique as a talent is that he is probably one of the few designers, okay, probably the only one, that every time he was making a project, he was not just making the project, but he was obsessed with the whole scenario around that project. The project becomes believable because he's imagining the scenario in which the project will be. So the context inside, and this is what it's really unique. And in fact, from his images, I advise you to go and check on Google. Every detail has been well thought out. nothing is neglected, and is so high level that only 100% dedicated talent can produce such masterpiece. And this is a great lesson for us, for me, for you that are very young and they are ready to get into school or into the real design world. Syd Mead is a great example to motivate us to understand how to do things, or even to think how he would have done that, you know? The things that he tried to teach us with his example are really engraved, you know, in our heads, in our way of living as professionals, but also as humans. He was a very kind person, very nice person. And even if we are very sad, I am very sad that he's not there anymore with us, at the same time I'm very happy that such a man could live on earth, because he will still live through the years, through the next generations, thanks to the great amount of work that he made, that is there for us to see, to check, to enjoy, and to guide us for our future creative works and the next generations. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.